Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to the Game of Fortune. I think it is time for us to wrap up this game of Evolve. That was what it was called, right? And at this stage, it looks like we're all alive. Probably, maybe not Richard, but maybe. Well, potentially. Anyway, let's carry on. I'm sure that... this is our third day, isn't it? So this is the last day. Can't get any less hospitable than a desert anyway, can it? Maria bit into the fleshy orange fruit, and a flood of juice began to flow from the fruit. Tastes like a juicy pineapple. I took a bite of the fruit I had and almost had to cough with how much juice sprayed into my mouth. This is a lot more juicy than I thought it would be. I guess it's a water-packed food. Well, I'm not complaining. It tastes good and it's refreshing. Everett took a bite and was similarly surprised by how much of a mess it made. Ugh, well, at least it's filling. We all ate the sun fruits and then washed our faces and hands in the water. Alright, so now we should be nearly finished. Devon and I are at 9 out of 10 food, and Maria should be at 4 out of 10 food. Because Devon can share food with the rest of us, all we need to do is find a collective food source totaling 8. Well, something worth around 3 food between the 3 of us. Sounds easy enough. You said you saw some cacti up ahead, right? Yes, as long as one fruit is worth at least 3 food, we should be covered. Well, what are we waiting for then? Let's go get them tasty cactus fruits. Everett and I nodded when we headed over toward the cacti in the distance. We walked up to a set of cacti that had these hard-looking pink and purple fruits sprouting from it. We looked at the sign in front of the cacti to get more details on the kind of fruit we'd be eating. Pokey pear fruit. This cactus fruit has a sweet yet tart taste. Be careful to remove the barbs and pokey spines on the fruit. Provides 3 food. Perfect. Looks like we'll be able to survive if we each get one of these. But we're going to have to grab them off the cactus first. I'll volunteer to grab them off. I've harvested these kinds of fruit before. You have? When I was younger, my brothers and I would sometimes wander around and explore the arid parts of our home. There were some cacti out there that we would pluck the fruits off as a snack. Though we didn't do it barehanded, I'll be able to manage it a bit better than most, I think. Even with those giant hands of yours? As you said before, watch and learn. Everett inspected the cactus for a few seconds before his hand carefully maneuvered around the prickly plant as he plucked the pokey pear with precise poise perfectly. And just like that, you've got one. He carefully handed the first one to me. Careful handling it. It's still got thorns on it. I could feel the fruit prick in my fingers ever so lightly, so I adjusted my grip so that the barbs wouldn't be pressing against my skin. Everett grabbed one more fruit, tossing it over to Maria, who had to juggle the fruit in her hands. Why'd you toss it to me, arsehole? You know the thing's covered in barbs. Oh, no reason. I figured you'd be able to handle it. Arsehole. Yes, whatever you say. And one more for... We all froze as we saw a brown snake hiss at Everett's hand. Everett slowly reeled his hand back and let out a soft sigh. Phew, that was a close one. What, you're afraid of snakes now? Not foolish enough to try and invoke a snake's ire. Who knows if it's venomous or not? Yeah, not really worth risking it against a snake. Wait, Everett, don't you have a skill that scares animals? You can just frighten the snake, grab it, and you've got yourself more food. Yes, that would be ideal. However, let me guess, your old trait got replaced. Unfortunately so. The terrifying hunter trait that I had changed to Adept Tracker. Basically, my tablet helps me find where you, Maria, and Richard are. Useful for finding people, but not much for hunting animals. Well, it's no big deal. Let's just pick another spot on the cactus to grab some fruit from. Let's try the other side of the cactus. Worth a shot. Everett moved around the cactus, but the snake seemed to follow him, and it seemed to be just as aggressive as before. Well, the snake seems to be focused on me. Oh, I see eggs inside. That's probably why it's all mad. A mother doing everything she can to protect her children. Admirable, but it's still getting in the way of our survival. Maybe we can try and pluck the fruit while Everett's distracting it. You can try that, just be careful not to prick your fingers. How hard can it be? Maria reached inside to grab a piece of fruit, but the snake turned its head toward her and lunged. She just barely managed to reel her hand back, and in the process clipped a few thorns. Ow, 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 jeez, this hurts like hell. I warned you to be careful. But suffice to say, the snake is going to be quite an obstacle for us. Maybe I could give it a try. I appreciate the sentiment, Devon, but you shouldn't risk your life for a fruit. We can look elsewhere. No, it's alright, I think I can handle it. I have a trait that makes me immune to venom and poison, so even if I got bitten, I should be okay. If you say so, just be careful, alright? I'll manage, I just have to grab the fruit, right? I'd argue that if you grab the snake itself, you'd be in better shape. It'll turn to food the minute you got a hold of it. Yeah, it's true. Let me give it a shot. I carefully walked up toward the cactus and watched as the brown snake glared at me with its protective eyes. Alright, just gotta grab it. I carefully brought my hands toward the snake and saw its head coil back as if preparing to strike. The cover from the cactus made it hard, to just go out and grab it, so I'll have to wait for it to lunge at me. I goaded it by flicking my hands toward it. The damn thing lunged and sunk its fangs into my arm. Ow! Quick, grab it and rear your arm back. I did as Everett instructed and yanked my arm back while grabbing a hold of the snake. Even though I wanted to pry the creature off my arm, I kept pulling until the entire snake was out of the cactus. And just like that, it puffed into a long piece of, well, it looked like fried meat. Excellent. Looks like you caught it. Yeah, my arm still kind of hurts though. I rolled up my sleeve to see a bit of blood trailing out from the puncture wounds. Huh. Well, how do you feel? I mean, aside from the brief adrenaline and the pain in my arm, nothing crazy. If you start feeling woozy or disoriented, let us know. We'll suck out the venom quickly. Wrong, you can't just suck out a snake's venom. How would you know? Experience and simple research. It's just a trope they use in movies and books. The venom quickly spreads through the blood, so even if you found the pocket of venom in the wound, you couldn't just suck it out. Most snakes' bites are dry, so it's possible Devon didn't even get any venom in his system. That didn't stop you from volunteering to grab it. Notice I said most and not all. No point in taking any undue risk. You said you'd be immune, so I trust that you'll be okay. More importantly, I believe the snake was worth around 3 food, if I saw it correctly. Combine that with the fruit and we should have more than enough for us to survive the day. Normally you burn the fruit to remove the thorns, but before Everett could finish his explanation, Maria had started plucking off the thorns with her fingers. Why would you need to burn it? All you need to do is bite into it, yeah? I mean, they're probably not the same fruit you're talking about. Bella's given us different stuff that we can eat on our own without needing fire and shit, right? Suppose that makes sense. Still, I'd be cautious if possible. If you want to be cautious, just don't eat a piece of fruit. It's not like you need to, right? All Devon has to do is give you 1 food. I'll eat 1 of these, and she'll eat 1 of them. And then we'll all have 10 food. What do you mean by that? Don't you have 4 out of 10 food? No, I have 8 out of 10. What? Did I not say that before? No, you didn't. Oh, well, basically, when I ate the sun fruit, it doubled its worth because I ate it earlier in the day. Just in the nick of time, too. Right, because you're a big breakfast trait. Yep. So really, it's like you and Everett have 9 out of 10, and I have 8 out of 10. We really only need 2 fruits to make this work, since we're missing 4 food, right? And if Everett doesn't want to hurt his mouth eating a spiky fruit, then he doesn't have to. You can just give him the food he needs. Or he could eat the snake, I guess. But I'd still have to end up eating the pokey pear. You're not squeamish, are you? Look, I'll bite into one to show you that it's probably safe. Maria bit into the fruit and chewed a bit before swallowing. Then she took another bite and another bite until the entire fruit was finished. See, no problem. You just have to pluck out the thorns on the outside. Here, I'll do it for you. Maria carefully grabbed the fruit from my hand and began to remove the thorns. It seemed that everything was going to work out. We'd all survive and be okay. Well, I wasn't sure about Richard, but maybe he'd be okay. I looked over to Everett and reached out for his tablet. Everett, you alright? Am I alright? No, I'm downright furious. Huh? But we have more than enough food. Shouldn't you be happy about that? Of course I'm happy that we have enough food, but why did we go through all the risks to get it? We could have stopped after getting the second fruit, but Maria didn't say anything. I forgot. You know what? The sad thing is I believe it. That head of yours is probably filled with more cement than any actual brain matter. A blockhead, dull as the limestone it's made of. Everett, come on, you don't need to say all that. Don't I? We were safe after I grabbed the second fruit, and she just goaded us into trying to deal with the potentially venomous snake. At worst, she was trying to get us killed. At best, her own ignorance and idiocy put my life in danger, and she let you get bitten by a snake all the same. I didn't want her to get bit, it just slipped my mind. I got caught up in the moment. Slipped my mind. How convenient that you already had your own fruit when such a thing slipped your mind. Devon, can you please give me the food I need to survive so I can get away from you? Sure. The tension in the area was thick, and it would probably be best to take care of this so the two could split. I shared 1 food with Everett and handed him his tablet. Now that I had 8 out of 10 food, the fruit would be more than enough for me. Thank you, Maria. I assume that you're done cleaning up Devon's pear, right? Duh. Maria handed the cleaned up fruit back to me. Well, with this we should all be good. Devon, I'd be careful around Maria if I were you. I don't know if she's truly idiotic or just had some other plan up her sleeve, but I just don't trust her. Don't talk about me when I'm right here. And you don't have the right to talk about good intentions. Compared to you, I'm an angel. Is that what you think? That you're some kind of saint that can do no wrong? Some kind of benevolent angel delivering good news, aid and support? I'm all that and more, baby. Now you're a harbinger of doom, despair and destruction. Oh, is that the case? You sure weren't calling me that years ago when I was helping your little cause now, were you? I was an angel. And I still am. Only difference is I'm helping the people the way I should have a long time ago. That confirms that you truly are as idiotic and despicable as your horrid mother. You shut your mouth before I shove a fistful of thorns down your throat. And now you resort to threats. You truly are a carbon copy of me. A real shame. We had such high hopes for you. But it turns out you've inherited the worst parts of her. Her impulsiveness, her crass attitude, even her tendencies to act before thinking. I'm starting to wonder if her constant drinking didn't just kill her own brain cells, but yours as well. Say that again, Lucas, and I swear to God that I'll... Don't call me that, you impudent fool. There's a flare of anger that erupted from Maria. Her body was trembling and her fists were balled so tight, I'm certain she'd be drawing blood from her palms. Her teeth were gritted so tightly she could probably crack her own jaw. Her breathing was strained and could probably blow away the sand itself. Point being is, she was pissed, and I was afraid that one more comment, one more insult, one more parting blow would send her into a frenzy against Everett. Hey, and let's not do anything drastic. I slowly stood between Everett and Maria, cautiously putting my hands up. We got all the food we need. Maybe we should just stuff our mouths and keep quiet, huh? They glared right past me as if I was just a thin piece of paper keeping them from mauling one another. And I'd probably get caught up in the worst possible way if things didn't cool down. This stupid desert heat probably wasn't helping either. Please, we've come so far. I don't want anything bad to happen to either of you because of something that happened now. They continued to glare at one another, refusing to back down from their tense stances. At least it seemed that way at first. But then Everett let out a quick, quiet sigh and let his body relax and took a step back. You're right. There's no point. Thank you for keeping me level-headed. That was unsightly of me. I shall take my leave. Everett gave us a curt nod, or really it seemed to be aimed at me because he sure as hell wasn't smiling at Maria. Then he turned around and walked off. Maria was still huffing with anger. She looked as though she wanted to chase off after Everett, but instead she shook her head and stormed in the opposite direction, leaving me alone in dust with a cactus. Guys? Neither of them answered. They just kept walking their own paths. Crap. Who the heck should I follow, Maria or Everett? I mean, I didn't have to follow either of them, but it was obvious that neither of them were in the best mental state. But is it my responsibility to be a caretaker here? I'm trying to survive just like the rest of them. Maybe it's best I just let them cool off on their own for a bit. I'll just... Oh my gosh. Wonder how much impact this is going to have. I'll... Follow Maria? I turned to look at Maria, who was still stomping through the sand as she and Everett parted ways. I could just leave her alone. I couldn't just leave her alone. She wasn't in the right mental state. I had to help her. She would do the same for me, right? Yeah. Something in my soul told me so. It just pulled me in that direction. I hurried over toward Maria, but as I walked beside her, she simply turned her head away from me, as if to avoid eye contact. Maria, you alright? She didn't say anything and just kept walking forward, keeping her head down. Hey, don't let what he said get to you. I don't know the details, but whatever he said about your mother isn't true. He probably just said it because he was angry in the moment. You can't let him mess you up like that. I'm fine. Huh? I said I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. The things he said, they don't bother me. Her walking had slowed, her hands had relaxed, and she wasn't huffing in anger anymore. But who cares what he says or what he thinks? It doesn't matter. He can spout whatever bullshit he wants until he chokes on it. Because I'm fine, and I'm going to get through this no matter what. Her body was shaking, and her voice quivered. She was on the verge of tears. I knew what she was going through. That slingshot of emotions, that burning hatred and anger that's quickly washed away by a torrent of sorrow. She knew it too, and she was desperately trying to stop herself from crossing that threshold. The point where you collapse and let the sadness overwhelm you. No, stop crying. You can't cry now. You just got started, Maria. You can't cry now. You can't. You can't cry. You can't break down. You can't. She held her breath and tried to force her body to reset. She held her quivering arms, trying to stop them from shaking. She shook her head, trying to shake away the tears and urged to cry. I'm fine. Her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the ground. Maria. I dropped down to make sure she was okay. Hey, it's okay, Maria grabbed onto me and buried her face in my chest, muffling her sobs against my jacket and clinging onto me as if her life depended on it. Even though her cries were muffled, I could tell that she was nearly screaming. Whatever she was feeling, it was intense, and it only seemed to ease up after she let out the initial outburst. That bastard! How could he say all those things? They always insult her. They always just go back on the same stupid thing. Even now she's gone, all they do is mock and laugh and insult her, like she didn't try and change, like she didn't have anything redeeming about her. And the one time she tries to stick up for herself, to hell with them. To hell with each and every single one of them. I hope that every single one of them falls from grace and ends up wading in shit. Maybe then they'll get it, just how hard it was for her. Maybe then they'll understand just how strong she was, how brave she was, how smart she was. That she wasn't some alcoholic junkie. That she had a bigger heart than any of those corrupt devils could ever hope to have. Just screaming at nobody. I was there. She was still holding on to me, but she wasn't looking at me. She was just screaming at the sky, as if she had to get the words out so maybe the world would hear her. And once she was done, she just held on to me, nuzzling herself into me, as if to hide away from the world. As if it would lash back at her for yelling whatever it was that she'd said. Her furious and heavy breaths became muted, and I could only hear the occasional whimper and sniffle whenever I rubbed the back of her head. I don't even know why I did. It just felt right, like I couldn't leave her in this state. I don't know how many minutes we sat there in the blazing sun with the coarse sandy wind brushing against us. But it was a while, and eventually Maria lifted her red and irritated eyes to look at me. She looked ashamed, as though she couldn't believe she let herself look so weak and pathetic in front of a stranger. I'm sorry about that, I lost myself there. It's alright. No, it's not alright. I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to be tough. I need to have an indomitable will to get through these games. I just have to. I can't break down like this, especially not this early. I just can't. If I do, then all of this will be for nothing. She sniffled again and rubbed her eyes. Even though she tried to affirm herself those words, she was still shaken. It's alright, you've won this game, right? Even if you cry a bit through it, you didn't lose. You didn't break down completely or anything, right? Yeah. Right, so just pick yourself back up and we'll finish this through to the end, okay? Okay. I helped her back up to her feet and let her wipe her eyes, nose and mouth before walking again. The walk was quiet, but maybe silence is what we needed for now. She didn't get a chance to reflect. She'd get a chance to reflect, maybe assure herself that she could make it through, and she'd be back to her old self in no time. Why did I do that? Sure, in the moment it's nice to be a good person and try and help one another, but over the long term, isn't it better to leave someone vulnerable? Weak, disoriented, confused, helpless, dependent, distracted, afraid, furious? Even if Maria won this game, what about the future? What if we're opponents then? Should I have... What in the goddamn world are you thinking, Devon? No, 1,000 times no. This place is going to be hellish enough as it is. You don't need to fall to the temptation of becoming a monster to win. At least not when you don't have to. This place is scary. I've already won this game and it's screwing with my head. I don't need to be an arsehole to win. Especially... I looked over at Maria, who still had her head hung low. Especially not when someone's feeling down like that. Eventually we made it back to the cave. Finding relief from the scorching hot sun and blazing heat, Maria immediately plopped down on the ground and let out a heavy sigh. Why did today feel so fucking long? It's only an hour, right? Yeah, I think we got a few minutes before nightfall. I looked out and saw the sun starting to set. Not too much time left now. Probably only a few minutes. A few minutes and then the game is over. Maria yawned and began to curl up into a ball. Thanks, Devon. Huh? For what? Just for being there. I don't know, you could have left me alone, or hell, you could have followed Everett. I would have probably calmed down a bit, but you being there sped up the process. Oh, it's no problem. I guess I couldn't stand seeing you hurt like that. It just pulled at my heartstrings. Oh, really now? Couldn't stand to see little old me in distress. You had to save me. You really are a sweetheart, you know that? Leaving a girl to cry. How could I do something so cold? Well, I suppose I ought to give you a reward then. Maria leaned over and gave me a quick peck on the cheek. I giggled and felt myself grinning from ear to ear. Oh, that's all? Just one little kiss? You're greedy, you know that? I don't hand those out willy-nilly, you know. Guess I'll have to treasure this forever then. You should. Who knows when a 10 like me will pop up again. She laughed and then yawned slightly before resting back onto the ground. Well, guess it's time for us to hit the hay. And finally win this game. Yeah, you said it. I stretched my arms out and lay beside Maria, and I felt her curling her hands around me as she started to fall asleep. Guess she was still up for cuddling, even if she didn't have to. Not that I was complaining. This is probably one of the better ways that things could have ended, right? Well, I guess we'll see how everything went when I wake up. And everything will be fine. I shot out of my sleep, feeling my blood pumping through my body. My senses were on edge, my body was hot, even my muscles seemed twitchy, as if I was ready to leap into action. Everything just screamed, danger, danger, danger. I looked around the cave, trying to see what would set me off like that, and I saw at the visage of something moving in the shadows. Is it Richard? Something, no, someone. Was it Everett? Had he stalked us down for some reason? Maybe trying to get into the cave since he knew it was a safe place to rest? No, too small, it couldn't be him. So it had to be... Richard, is that you? Devon? Richard revealed himself from the shadows, holding his chest tightly. Not as tightly as I was, though. Richard, what the heck are you doing here? You scared the daylights out of me. Oh, well, I guess the nightlights. I was looking for food. Food, but you don't you need to rest? What's with all the racket? Maria slowly stirred awake from her sleep. Richard, is that you? What are you doing skulking around right now? Maria, you of all people should know that I'm out trying to find food. Oh yeah, you're nocturnal. Okay, well, I'm going back to sleep then. Good night. Well, I can tell you there's no food in here, so you might as well... Actually, I think I still have a fried snake from before. Fried snake? Yeah, it's a bit sandy, but I think it's worth about 3 food. I dug around and found a strip of fried meat. Oh wow, that really is fried snake. Alright, well, who am I to say no to a free meal? Richard walked up to me and grabbed the food out of my hand. But he scratched my hand as he did so. Ow, watch it with the nails. Sorry, I haven't had time to clip them. He crouched down near Maria and shook her shoulder slightly. What? Stop scratching at my shoulder. I was going to ask if you knew any places that had animals I could hunt. No, I mean, we found the snake in a cactus once. There were eggs there too if you wanted to eat them. They were a bit far off, but I'm sure if you looked though, you could find one. I see. His eyes drooped for a moment as he turned toward the exit of the cave. He solemnly shook his head. I'm sorry, but I don't have that kind of time. He reached down and grabbed Maria's tablet from underneath her. Huh? What are you doing? You can't just take that from me. Maria was quick to hop up onto her feet, but as she did, she collapsed back down to the ground. What the? Don't struggle too much, you might end up hurting yourself. What's going on? Why can't I move my muscles? Paralyzing poison's a useful trait. It won't kill you, and I'm glad it doesn't. Try not to struggle, alright? Same goes for you, Devon. Richard reached down and grabbed my tablet, but I shoved him away before he could grab my tablet. What? But how? I don't need to tell him how. All that matters is that I kept my tablet away from him. I'll admit the little scratch on my hand tingled, but otherwise I'm smooth sailing. Crap, this isn't good. But it's not impossible. He rushed toward me and tackled me to the ground. Get off me! I'm sorry, Devon, but I need your tablet to survive. If I don't get enough food, then I'll die. This is just how things are. You couldn't find anything to eat out there? We found plenty. Now just leave me alone and get off. I can't eat fruits and veggies like the rest of you. I have to hunt. I have to steal. I have to poach. It's not easy. Well, that's not my problem now, is it? Sadly for you, it is. Richard grabbed a hold of my tablet and tried yanking it out of my hands. So just let go. No, I'll die if I do. Why the hell would I let go? Like, okay, that's a fair point. But even so, I've got to survive as well. With one final yank, Richard pulled the tablet out of my hand and scampered toward the exit of the cave. He was messing around with the tablets. It was obvious what he was going to do. The guy was going to eat Maria and I. And not in the fun way. I had to do something or he'd kill us both. Richard, you bastard. I helped you find food before and this is how you repay me? Trust me, I don't want to do this, but I want to survive too. So don't hold this against me. Wait, Richard, you don't want to eat us? And why not? Shit, I actually have to think of something. Because we're poisonous. You can't eat us because, yeah, we're poisonous. That's the obvious thing to say, right? Maria and I are poisonous. If you eat us, you'll die. What? It's a trait we got when we mated. If you try to eat us, you'll get sick and die in 5 minutes. I know you're desperate, Richard. That you need food to survive, but if you eat us, you'll just end up killing yourself. Well, he'll kill us too. But she's right, Richard. If you eat us, you'll die. You're just bluffing. You really want to take that chance? Yeah, why do you think my hair is pink? It's a sign. It means I'm super toxic. I'm just chock full of deadly poison, and you shouldn't eat me. It also highlights my eyes too. Of all the times to joke, you choose now. Oh, regardless, there's an easy way to check. He tapped away at the tablets and took his eyes off me for just a moment. That's all the time I needed. While he was tinkering away with the tablets, I rushed at him. Crap. He couldn't react in time and I slammed into him, bulldozing him into a wall of the cave and making him drop the tablets. I punched him in the face, hoping the impact would deter him or scare him away. Why can't you just leave us alone? We don't want to hurt you, so just go away. I can't. Richard caught my fist the second time and wrestled me to the ground, because I'm trying to survive, the same as anyone else. I didn't ask to be a carnivore, or to have the traits that made me a man-killing machine. I tried my damn best not to have to kill anyone. I hunted animals, I stole from others, I did what I had to keep my hands clean. What more could I have done? We grappled one another for a few seconds, but it was clear that Richard was stronger than me, and was slowly getting the advantage in our fight. Soon he was on top of me and had his hands around my neck, slowly squeezing as I tried to kick and flail out of his stranglehold. I was all alone out there nearly every day, wondering if someone might come by and kill me in my sleep. That they might find me and eat me themselves or just cull me out so they wouldn't have to worry about competition later. And at night I had to skulk around, stumbling through branches, snow and sand, nearly blind. Do you know how cold a desert gets at night? I couldn't breathe, let alone utter any real response to him. I just kept flailing, hoping that somehow I could get his hands off me. But his grip was like iron, I couldn't shake him off. I'm sorry, Devon, I don't want to kill you, but I don't want to die. I'm only doing this to survive, to stay alive, same as anyone else. So forgive me, I wish I didn't have to do this, but I just have to live. I felt drips of blood fall onto my face. What? My eyes slowly opened as I saw Richard clutching at his neck, at the collar that was dripping blood. He didn't look to be in pain, just shock, surprise. And he slowly turned his head. My eyes followed his own gaze. Sorry, Richard. Wish I didn't have to end this way, but you didn't leave me any other choice. Richard didn't utter another word. In fact, his eyes seemed to soften before he fell off to the side. And his body went limp. What did you do? Maria raised up 2 tablets. I ate him. I had enough strength in me to crawl towards those tablets while he was strangling you. Didn't want to do it, but he would have killed us if I didn't kill him first. No, I get it. I don't blame you. I rubbed my throat. It was still sore from the attack. Everything's was going well up until now. But you lived through it, right? Only because you were there. True, but nevertheless, we're here. I couldn't help but stare at Richard's corpse. It was still bleeding. He was dead. Dead. This is real. I mean, I knew it was real, but this was terrifying. Seeing someone actually die in front of you was... Hey, don't get overwhelmed, alright? Look at me. Don't look at him. It's over. This game is over. Maria put her hands on my shoulder and smiled. It's all going to be alright. You can tough it out no matter what shows up. Alright? Alright, I'll keep at it. That's the spirit, so let's try and sleep the rest of the night. We'll be alright. If anyone tries to mess with us, I'll be there to kick anyone's ass that tries to ruin our beauty sleep. I couldn't help but laugh. Even in the wake of this gruesome game, she found a way to make me laugh. She just had a way of making people smile, I suppose. But with the threat of death gone, I felt fatigue overtake me again, and I was quick to lay back down on the ground. My desire for rest forcing me back to sleep. Psst. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. 5 more minutes. Don't make me get the bucket. The what? The splash bucket. You know, the best way to wake up is to get a splash of cold water on your face. I've seen it work wonders. Belle? Ring-a-ding, that's me. Now open up those cute little eyes of yours. I slowly opened my eyes and looked to see Belle looming over the top of me. I blinked a few times before sitting up straight, nearly headbutting Belle in the process, but she merrily raised her head just in time. There you are, now you're awake. Where am I? You're in a hallway, of course. Good grief, you must have been having quite the dream not to remember where you are. In her defense, this was a long game. I looked and saw Everett and Maria standing a few feet behind Belle. Yeah, couldn't you make things a little faster? You're also impatient. Some games need a little more time than others, you know. But you did clear the game, so congratulations on that. Belle gave us all a short applause before taking a step back. We won? Yep, you won. You survived 3 days in evolution. Don't you feel changed, mutated? Like you've gone through millions of years of natural selection? No. Not at all. Nada. Huh. Oh well. Must have been a slow and subtle change. Anyway, you 3 simply need to go that way and you'll be on your path to victory. Or defeat. Who knows where it'll lead. Can't you give us something more concrete? Sure, there'll be a room and people if you go in that direction. People, you mean everyone else that cleared their games, right? Belle nodded and clapped her hands. You got it, Devon. That's where everyone else is hanging out. But I gotta be off. I have one last game I have to run. Wait, just one last thing. Huh? What's on your mind? What happened to Richard? Belle tilted her head almost as if she was unsure as to why I asked the question. Devon, you know the answer to that. He's dead. Why would I bother bringing a corpse out of the game room? Do you have some morbid interest in him? Do you want to dissect him or steal his clothes or something? What? Of course not. And don't worry about it. Richard's gone. Dead. A loser. And losers don't get to move on. Simple as that. Anyway, I've really got to go, so TTFN. Ta-ta for now. And just like that, she vanished into a cloud of blue smoke and left the 3 of us alone. So we did it. We won. We survived. That seems to be correct. Seems this, seems that. We're all here. We obviously survived. Great. Great. I pumped my fist into the air. Hell yeah, I made it. That's the spirit, Devon. Everett simply smiled and looked around the hall. Her vanity is impressive in its own right, but shall we continue down the hall? We best not dawdle and give Belle a reason to punish us for being slow. Right, let's hurry. To Maria and Everett's surprise, I was the first one to start walking down the hall. Maybe it was the high of surviving, or maybe I just wanted to distance myself from the game, but I just wanted to move on and see what was beyond. Something was calling me over, pulling me to get there. Clyde. It had to be Clyde, right? He was alive, no doubt. He'd be out there waiting for me. All I had to do was go out there and meet him. First I was walking, then jogging. Before I knew it, I was full-on sprinting down the halls. He's there. I know he's there. He has to be there. I can feel it. He's going to be wherever I end up. And soon I reached the door at the end of the hallway and I put my hand on the knob. But I couldn't open it. All that excitement had evaporated and turned into dread, a lingering fear that maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be there on the other side. That maybe something happened to him. And that by opening the door I would be able to cling on to the hope that he'd be alive. What are you thinking, Devon? That's a dumb idea. It's not like me opening a door would kill Clyde. He was either alive or dead. Are we doing the Schrodinger's cat thing? Nothing I'll do at this point will change that, so I might as well just open the door and see the truth, right? It's just that simple. It's just that easy. So do it. Open the door. Confront the truth, whatever it may end up being. Do it. Do it, damn it. You won't get anywhere if you just drown in fear, so just... My hand slid off the knob and I stepped away. Weak. I'm so damn weak. All I'm trying to do is open a door and I can't even find the strength to do that. I'm scared. I'm too scared. If he's gone, then I'm doomed. I'm as good as dead. I can't. My chest started beating frantically. My body shivered. Sweat started to roll down my face. I can't open this door. If I do, it'd be like I'm killing myself. If he's not there, then I'll have killed myself. At least, if it's closed, I can always pretend he's alive. Imagine what he's doing on the other side. I won't have to confront the truth. I can just pretend he's alive, chatting away, waiting for me. My muddled thoughts were interrupted as Everett and Maria walked up behind me. Is this the end of the line? Looks to be. What's going on, Devon? You waiting for us? You look so excited that I figured you'd already have gone to whatever room was up ahead by now. I tried to hide my face from them. I didn't want them to see me in this pathetic, panicked state. Devon, are you okay? Looks to me like she's panicking. I know that she's panicking, you idiot. You don't just say that out loud like that. She's probably scared to open the door, to know the truth of Clyde's fate. You mean you're scared about whether Clyde's alive or not, huh? I slowly nod my head. If you can't open the door, then I don't mind doing it for you. No. But why not? Didn't I just explain it to you? Good grief. If you open the door, you'll force Devon into facing something she's not ready for. The possibility that Clyde is in fact dead. But you can't stay here forever. That's true, but you can't force her to move on either. What if Clyde's just in there waiting to see her? Shouldn't it be like ripping off a band-aid? Yeah, it hurts for a second, but then it'll be fine afterwards. It's more akin to pulling teeth. You yank one out and then you're left with a painful bleeding hole. What are you going to do if Clyde isn't there? Then you'll have scarred, terrified and frantic Devon, whose worst fears have been realised. Fine, what the hell would you do then? Simple, you prepare her for the worst. At least in this case. In that case, if Clyde isn't there, she could steal herself. Everett turned to me and offered a hand. Painful as it is, you must realise that this is a possibility. Accept that it's possible, and that even if it is, you must walk forward. But if he's not there, then what's the use? I'll die. I'll die sooner or later. That's not true. You just made it a one game by yourself, didn't you? That was a fluke. I just got through it by the skin of my teeth. If you weren't there, Maria, I'd be dead. That's how it always is. I'm always relying on someone else. I can't do this alone, and Clyde's the only person I can trust to get me through this all the way. So if he's not there, then stop talking like you're dependent on him to survive. Damn it, Devon, you two are separate people. Even if he's dead, that doesn't mean you are. You're here right now, alive. If Clyde didn't make it, do you think he'd want you moping around thinking that he was gone? No, but then if you can't do this for yourself, at least imagine that he wants you to make it to the end. I have to agree with Maria. In the event that Clyde is in fact dead, I'm certain he'd wish for your survival. If nothing else, find strength in yourself, that you may carry his will, his desire to see you safe. Fine. I'll try. Good, well, I think it'd be best if you would open the door then. At least that way you'll have to commit the truth yourself, rather than have one of us thrust it upon you. I shakily grabbed the knob once more and slowly turned it. No matter what was behind it, I'd face it head on. Be strong. Be strong, Devon. You can do this, just be strong. I turned the knob fully and pushed the door open. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today, but that seems like a great cliffhanger to leave it on, don't you think? Is he alive or not? In the end, it doesn't really matter because he will come back anyway. But she doesn't know that yet, but we do. Anyway, thanks for watching, Bruce, and it's Evolution finally out of the way. Curious to see what game's going to be next. Till then, thanks for watching.